Alright, hotel to the Pan-African Nile Valley brothers and sisters out there. Shalom to my Hebrew brothers and sisters out there. Assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters out there. Today I want to get with y'all and sit down with y'all. Today I got in touch with my brother and told him to get with me as soon as possible because I've been needing to talk to the revolutionary family out there and update y'all on these important events that we're dealing with right now in society, because you might just be on the verge of either having some liberation or being sent right back into from which your ancestors came from. And I'm not just talking about it, mental slavery here. We're talking about physical slavery. So we're going to be talking about something. Civil rights and human rights is one of the first topics I want to get to. Now, when I say civil rights and human rights, I want y'all to know this is like asking Malcolm or Martin or Malcolm. Now, I started to put an article in the newspaper that I had wrote about this topic, but I said, you know what, I'm going to go to the family first. Because when we're dealing with this Black Lives Matter, and you know what, I might as well get right down to that to begin with. Because I see a lot of revolutionaries, so-called revolutionaries, I'm going to say that too, but I see counter-revolutionary actions from a lot of them, saying that Black Lives Matter, the bigger movement, the conglomerate, is pushed by George Soros. And let me tell y'all something. I know all about the Jewish financier George Soros, who as a child worked with the Nazis, forced to work with the Nazis at the death camps. He made it, and now he's a billionaire Jewish financier who lives here in America, but he's was from the old Soviet Republic. I know about George Soros, and I hear a lot of people bring that up, and every time you hear somebody say Black Lives Matter, so-called revolutionaries online are saying that, oh, don't not show any love to the Black Lives Matter organization. Anybody saying Black Lives Matter, they must be working with George Soros. George Soros. I want to tell y'all something. I stood beside some Black Lives Matter protesters. My revolutionary brother have stood beside some Black Lives Matter protesters. And before anybody was even in the streets talking about Black Lives Matter, the Nation of Liberation, which was founded by me and my brother, we was already in the streets screaming about these black lives. But let me tell y'all something. A lot of these people on the front line don't know one god doggone thing about no George Soros, and haven't received one penny from a George Soros. This is kind of revolutionary action what y'all doing, because what y'all trying to make people think is that don't donate this money to the Black Lives Matter organizations. Donate it to who? Y'all? You haven't did nothing. You have no, you never want to do nothing. You're not going to do nothing, and no funds should be going into y'all. I want to say people have every right to donate to some of these organizations calling themselves Black Lives Matter. I don't know what they are doing, but hopefully, and that's all we can do within this revolution right now, I'm speaking particularly about Black Lives Matter, because I want to tell you something. Black Lives Matter has gotten more done within a couple of months than the 60 civil rights leaders got done within decades. Because when we talk about legislation here, what are we looking at got passed in the 60s? What are we actually talking about? The Civil Rights Act? Well, do y'all know that the Civil Rights Act is not even a bill anymore? Because I hear him on TV crying about, hey, let's do it right by the name of John Lewis, who I'm going to be bringing up, and let's reenact the civil rights law. Let's pass that again, because you know they threw that out. It only was relevant for 25 years, but that's what's wrong with y'all. So they got the Civil Rights Act passed in the 60s. And you know, and I heard that brother John Lewis got the Fair Housing Act passed in the 60s. I want to tell y'all something about these bills. The Civil Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act. I'm a revolutionary who is about all people. I want all people to have something. That's my peace, love, balance, reciprocity. You know, I want it to be balanced. Everybody should have something. But let me tell you something. The Civil Rights Act and the Fair Housing Act that was passed by our civil rights leaders, that's for everybody. That's for everybody. That's for if you're a white woman, if you're an Asian woman, if you're gay or lesbian. You know, the Civil Rights Act is for everybody should have civil rights, which they should have that. So nobody should say that was a legislation passed for the African Americans, the descendants of slaves. No, you got thrown into that. That's truthful. What, the Fair Housing Act? That is for everybody. That's not just for you. The whole list of people I just named, those bills was passed for them also. So what we got to understand is, right now, when we're dealing with the bill that has been passed so far, dealing with police brutality, it's a stronger set of legislation. And I, look at it this way. The police officers, which we could say the FBI said that a lot of the police departments in America, they said that in, 2008, they said 2006 had been infiltrated by the Ku Klux Klan. So we knowing that when we're talking about fighting white supremacists, we can't do that at a lunch counter. We can't do that at a barber shop. We can't do that at some apartment where you go, I want a fair housing. That is a different type of debate in society. I'm trying to tell y'all, when you're dealing with the structure of white supremacy, you must go into the structure of it, and that's deal with who is backing it. Who is the muscle behind it? If you have no muscle behind white supremacy, you will have no white supremacy. So what I'm trying to tell you is, I definitely have some support for the Black Lives Matter revolutionaries. They're not protesters. What is a protester? I don't have the tolerance for games right now. Those are revolutionaries out there who I heard Brother John Lewis say he spilled some blood on the bridge in Selma, Alabama. That's nice, That's nice that he put his head on the line. I wish that he would have been more like Brother Malcolm. When Brother Malcolm said, what Malcolm said? Be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts their hand on you, send them to the cemetery. That was Brother Malcolm. See, the problem with a lot of our 60 civil rights leaders was they went through the non-violent movement, which led to a lot of violence. They was not violent, and I commend them for them wanting to walk that walk. But you should not lead your people into those dangerous situations, because now almost 6 years later, your people are still suffering from the non-violent walk that you took. So I would like to say, Black Lives Matter is putting their life on the line. Those are some very revolutionary individuals out there who they're getting these laws passed on these police officers, the Gestapo troops that are the battering ram of white supremacy. Those are some revolutionary brothers and sisters who are also they're shedding blood like Brother John Lewis. And I heard that he was an icon, and I'm gonna get to that. So I just want to say that Black Lives Matter. I salute those brothers and sisters on the front line who are willing to die, shed blood for liberation, for freedom, for the right to exist in this country. Now, we dealing with civil or human rights. Y'all got to remember that civil rights is the right to actually be able to do what? Be treated fairly, to be able to eat at a lunch counter next to an individual, pee in the same toilet bowl, drink out the same water fountain. Hey, I understand that. Malcolm X said in the 60s that we should have been going to the United Nations to talk about human rights, because if you got human rights, naturally you will have civil rights. You got to have the right to exist. If I can exist, I can eat next to you. If I can exist, then I surely can pee in a toilet bowl, can I? But if I don't have the right to exist, I have no human rights, you definitely never have any civil rights. That's been a problem that Malcolm and Martin was having. But I want to not look at Brother Martin as a lesser revolutionary, because in the end, before he died, this brother said, I fear that I have led my people into a burning house. You see, Martin had woke up to, he had been tricked, because he said that, oh my goodness, now that I'm starting to talk financial to the people. Remember, he said, I'm doing the poor people's march, which really got him. People said, I'm marching my poor people in Washington, and we're not leaving until y'all cut the check. Then he got killed. He said, hey, it's time to have some finances into this civil rights thing. Then he got killed. He said, hey, there's 3 things wrong with America. He said, racism, poverty, and militarism. Martin Luther King said there's 3 evils that plague America: racism, poverty, and militarism. He started getting on their butt about the militarism of what was going on in Vietnam. Then he died. You see, Martin had woke up to that you couldn't want your way out of what? This nightmare. And he understood that the economic development of the black community was far superior than it was now when they had to do for self. When, hey, I can't eat at your lunch counter. Hey, I got my own lunch counter. I can't wash my clothes at yours. Hey, I got my own. I don't need to pee in your water fountain, really, because I have my own building with my own urinal. Pee at your urinal. But Martin Luther King understood what was happening, but it got too late for him when he started demanding some dollars. He wanted civil rights. Malcolm X understood then, look, like I told y'all, be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, be respectful, but if someone puts their hands on you, send them to the cemetery. You can't show me one picture of Malcolm X being brutalized. When they showed us that, they was assassinating him. You don't get that's a hero. They glorify, I'm getting right into it. They glorify the hero John Lewis. I want to tell y'all something. It's something very shameful that when you glorify, the greatest thing you did was get your butt whooped. You showed real courage by not fighting back. You a man. Oh, you're a real Christian because I slapped you across one cheek and you allow me to slap you across the other one. And then John Lewis was quoted as telling the officers, thank you for doing your job. This nigga was silly. Let me tell you something. I'm getting right to it. That's the problem that we're dealing with right now.
Wait, he said that?
He told them, thank you.
Wait, hold on. I don't mean to cut y'all off. Okay, are you saying that, because this new to me, I'm going to be honest, I'm not just adding this in, but did John Lewis really make a quote, an actual quote from him, said thank the officer for hitting him because he did his job?
You know one thing about me is I won't say it unless I got some research on it, because I don't ever want to be called to the carpet being a falsifier who's going to hurt the ones who come under me. This is documented. John Lewis thanked the police. Said, you only doing your job. You had to beat me.
Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, you find it. You know, I want everybody to check Black. I want to give some shout out to my brother Jason Black, Black News Authority. You check that out. And John Lewis, I'm gonna get back to this. Because you see, the other day when they buried John Lewis, and I want to tell you something, I have no problem with John Lewis saying I'm willing to get beat and whooped for my rights. That's what I should do. I want to. It's something wrong and very sick when you take women and kids with you to say, all of y'all come with me and get some of this because we're going to overcome. It's something sick about that because, first of all, I only hear about John Lewis on that bridge. Now I see plenty of people getting beat. Who else was there? If he's iconic, they must be heroes too because they took that too.
Yeah.
But you see, the problem I have here is you also had Stokely Carmichael, which is Kwame Ture from SNCC, who was also in SNCC, in that organization with Martin Luther King, but he was more of looking up to Malcolm. And when people look at Kwame Ture, he didn't like the nonviolence. He wanted violence if you put your hands on them. So it was a time when Kwame Ture actually became the president of SNCC over what John Lewis had later on grabbed the reins again, you know. But what I'm getting to is the other day when John Lewis was getting buried, I don't know if you've seen this, but Bill Clinton had the audacity. You gotta know, you see Bill Clinton, his old senile, he on his deathbed, and he gonna go to jail for that Jeffrey Epstein stuff too if he don't die first. He had the nerve to stay, and I go to show you everybody who was in John Lewis' funeral with some shoe shiners, and they shined Bill Clinton's shoes. He got up there and said, you know, for a time, Stokely, and he called him Stokely. He know that man's name is Kwame Ture. The man changed his name to Kwame Ture. Mm-hmm. That's like saying, you know, old Cassius Clay. You know that man named Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Don't you dare do that.
Yeah.
So he went there in front of him and said, no, nigga, you will not reclaim your name. You are who we called you. Your name is Stokely. You know, Stokely took over for a little while, about 3 years. But John won in the end. And see, what that man just sat there is he gave the whole scheme of white supremacy. Yes, we gonna strike back had took over for a second. We're going to defend ourselves. No more laying down. That was Stokely Carmichael who looked up to Malcolm. But then all of a sudden, oh no, get slapped across one cheek and take it to another one. John Lewis, he grabbed the reins. That's why he is iconic to these people. Because remember, I want to tell you something. I have been, and this is why the African American, I know, and I hate to say African Americans, no such thing to me. You're African here in America, but I'm just going to, because you know yourself with that. We are going to reign supreme when we go other places and lead and show people, because we know the psychology of these individuals that we're dealing with. That is our, the blessing has come out the curse, damn it. We know how to deal with them. Because they raised us. You know, in the mythological Bible, when they say Moses was raised in all of the wisdom of the Egyptians. Well, guess what? We have been raised in all the wisdom of the Europeans here in America. There's nothing that they know. All the tricks of their battles, all the tricks of the side. Oh, we know it all. But what I'm saying is, they praise no one who don't fight back. They don't have one hero who lays down and get beat across the head and won't fight back. None.
Hey, that's a strong point.
Europeans do not praise cowards. If you do not fight back, you will not go down their record books for their kids. No. If not fighting back is for us. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, now iconic John Lewis. You know a lot of people say, who the hell is that? Nobody even know who he is.
Trump been saying that the whole time.
How can a man be an icon and you never even heard of him? You see, I believe John Lewis was chunked out at the end. They've been setting this up. They just had the movie Selma. You see, they get you ready for this type of shit. You know, they came up with the movie, Oh, Good Trouble. John Lewis. Movie? It's called Good Trouble, the story of John Lewis. They came out with this about it. They've been leading up to a couple of months. They knew they were finna kill this nigga off. Let me tell you something. They do that.
Yeah.
They do that. They need Joe Biden to get in that White House. And they need some sympathy. You hear me? That's why all of a sudden John Lewis is bigger than Martin Luther King. They say, oh, Martin Luther King, he was all right, but John Lewis, he took this for you. Right before our eyes. Oh, Martin Luther King, he was all right. Let me tell you something. The bridge that Dr. King and John Lewis got beat their head over, well, now they trying to rename it the John Lewis Bridge.
Nah.
Dr. King wasn't even there.
Nah.
Who? They told Dr. King, they said, who? Oh, no, that nigga, he didn't thank the cops. John Lewis thanked them. He outdid King that day. Oh, Dr. King, no, hit me one more time. Officer, but hey, so
Father forgive them.
Father forgive them. So they know not what they do. Dr. King said, hey, I'm the Reverend. Oh. You know, John Lewis, this is real, and I don't care, because I can prove that he did nothing iconic. Why? Because they say he an icon. They say he shed blood on that bridge. I say, well, I got two things for you. I watched that picture, and it's a bunch of people out there, women and kids, and some of them kids are still alive. They heroes, Jim, they met them. They was there too. But they didn't thank the officers, so they're not heroes. Okay. Then they say, well, John Lewis, you know, he done gave us service. He's been in Congress for over 30 years serving. Okay, so this is easy. Say, ask anybody. Say, man, give me some legislation that John Lewis passed. Some, you know, because, okay, 30 years?
Yeah, what has he
icon? I know you didn't play no games.
So what was he? What was his position?
A congressman. He was a U.S. congressman from Atlanta.
Yeah, and so you saying that there's nothing on his resume other than getting hit across his head.
That is his resume.
That identifies him as iconic.
That is it. They don't tell. All right, if anybody, bro, you think I'm here playing that? All right, John Lewis, and they gonna say he helped pass the civil rights legislation. But oops, I already told you what the civil rights legislation is. First of all, I practice my balance, reciprocity, love, peace, harmony. So I understand. I want civil rights for all mankind. But we was talking about the descendants of slaves being able to get back right in society after you've owned us. Then we had to go through sharecropping, meaning we were still slaves, but we just had to do it for rent and board now. And then after that, they kicked us out the plantation. They said, nigga, get out of here. Then it became Jim Crow. Then it became your black only, whites only. We said, okay, let's fast forward. It just passed something for us to say, okay, specifically descendants of slaves, this is for y'all. No, civil rights is for everybody. fair housing. Because I already done this with people. I know the Fair Housing Act. That's for everybody. But that's John Lewis claim to fame. He fought for fair housing. That's for every person in the world who needs fair housing.
But let me ask you a question. Why do you think they do that instead of ever passing some legitimate, effective legislation that's specifically geared towards our people and bettering our condition? Why do you think they always have to make it all inclusive? Like, why don't they want to do that?
Because I'm glad you said that, because I need you to do, because I got so much I'll do. First of all, something shocking happened to me when I do in my studies. That's why I suggest people become a historian. So when you know the history, you could fill in everything else. You become religious. Like I said, any religion you want. If you know history, you choose one. Say that at my time, because at a certain point in time, our descendants was all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. We created it out. Now people talk about what was first. Well, just get you know about history. You get there. Okay. The reason why they can't do something definite for our people, because a lot of these people getting in power is not what we call it our people. See, we're having a problem here. I want to let people know that it's one thing people missed out on about Barack Obama. You know, this is why it's real revolution with the nation. Barack Obama, people say, why Barack Obama did not fight for reparations? Reparations are about the descendants of slaves. Barack Obama's father's an African, his mother's a white lady. He has nothing to do with reparations. He does not. He's not eligible.
Good point.
That's what people need to get to the core of this. So I know it hurts some people. Barack Obama is not a descendant of a slave. Reparations has nothing to do with him. He was not going to talk about that. You know, okay. We have to talk about this, and it don't hurt some people. A lot of our people are what we call Moors. They call themselves Moorish science brothers and sisters, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's something I have to, you know, this discussion is not, I know a lot of people ain't seen the revolutionary teaching in a while, so they used to me slaying some brothers in my revolutionary comedic form, but this is not about that. I want unity, and I want everybody to come together up on whatever deity that you pray for liberation. But I have to tell the truth. So some of our Moorish brothers openly say they never was slaves. They wasn't slaves. They was free people. When slavery was going on, they was doing business. Hey, we sold Louisiana to we got the documents. If they just learned men. These group of people not gonna be discussing no reparations. They said they wasn't slaves. They got some brothers here are saying, hey, we're not slaves. We was the native of Americans. We was here before the slaves came. This is a large section of our. They not gonna fight for no reparations. Now you see where I'm going? Now we have a bunch of group, tribes, and individuals. I want to talk about gangs and tribes too. We have a bunch of different group of individuals here up under this umbrella that's black. That's why it's messed up that we use that term. We have to right now for our identity reasons. But you know, me and you, we've been talking for years. We've been comfortable. There's gonna be a problem with this because we've been knowing. Dang, when we seen some of these brothers, I have to say some Hebrew. It's like how filthy they talked about Africa. Mm-hmm. See, me and you cut from a different cloth. We don't mind getting into our spiritual we warrior, but nature when he talk like that, we knowing if you're the same, look, that can lead to some stuff. What you mean filthy, dirty? You know, so I like, dang, I know many brothers can't fight the European because I want you just any one of you talking like that about our people. So and this is real. So we have these legislators going to Congress. We don't even know what set they actually are part of. So that's why we can't get something genuine, because first of all, they not even identifying that who they are.
Man, look, it's something I've been on lately too, and you know we already touched on this, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, but I've been on this more recently. I've been pushing to the people, asking them, are African Americans a new people, and do we need a new name and terminology to actually describe us other than just black or other than just African American? Because just like you pointed out, there's so many different ideologies within that don't even agree with the specifics of what we're saying we went through. Like, am I really the same with somebody who trying to claim ancestry, or were they saying that they was never enslaved? Well, I know I can trace my lineage back to a plantation. I understand. I come from that. I understand. The transatlantic slave trade and how it affected my specific bloodline. But do you think we need a more specific name for our people based on what we went through that holds some of these historical facts that you're talking about to be true?
See, this is the problem that I didn't want to face. A lot of our people, the bastardization of our people has hurt us. It crushes us. We whine. We want to, mom and dad. We want to claim something. But the problem is a dirty problem here that went on. See, when we talk about slavery, it's just, we don't want to get to this. I'm gonna get to what you're saying, but it's a two-part thing. I was telling somebody this the other day. I want people to go into history, because being a historian, which I seek to be, I'm gonna get my degree in that. But I've been working hard to get, study history for a long time. I want people to go into society and look into history. It's really easy to do and find when did the term pedophile, a child, when did it come into being? Because this is gonna be real good. Around the turn of the 19th century. As long as the slaves had been here, a young black girl was in the hands of her master. I mean, I don't say young black girl because they wasn't seen as, they was property, young property. You have to know what was these individuals doing with their property. Now, fast forward to now. And on the news they tell you what some of these sick guy pedophiles are doing now. When you could get killed or be in jail for a long time for getting caught. Now just imagine when it's free, you can freely do whatever you please to an So let's get back to the bastardization. The Europe, and a lot of our people like to say they got Native American and they look at old pictures of Grand. She had this straight hair. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not a lot of Native American in you. It's the rapist who raped your ancestor. And I have to bring it to you. This is the truth. And and you've been and Shane and Big Mama and they want to hide. Cause let me tell you, I've been noticing something. History. We've been pretending like stuff happened so long ago. These people have mastered the game of stretching out time. To it. That's a long time ago. And I was looking at one thing, newspaper, and said you actually had a person right now living, or the lady just died. She was receiving Civil War benefits from her dad. She had just turned 98 of, but her daddy was winning the Civil War, and she was still receiving his death benefits. I want to tell y'all something. A lot of that go over y'all head here. What you say, teacher? This lady daddy was in the Civil War. He said, "Oh, he's a hero." No, that's why slavery. Who did he fight with here? Was it Confederate? And then what I'm trying to get to is, it's still guilty people on this earth who is in possession of still reaping plenty of rewards. But I'm getting back to what you said about who are we? The bastardization, what happened to our people. All right, we definitely are new people now. Just like what the European found out when they came into the realization of who they was. Like, dang, we are African who has been bred into so-called European. And then, a lot of them haven't accepted they want a black man, but we don't have to accept that. We still, have a tie to Mother Africa, because that's from which we came. But everything has a process. One thing I learned about evolution. We have evolved. And I just said it at the beginning of this conversation. These European capitals around the world, we built them. We built them. And it's something funny about science, because everywhere you see a scientific experiment or scientific theory breakthrough, you can find a melanated individual somewhere in there. They're not getting the credit, but they there. They even coming up now showing the sisters from the first flight program. They was in there doing the math, and now they getting some shout outs. And I'm gonna get into brother Nick Cannon.
Talking about with NASA?
NASA.
Yeah.
First of all, because they understand. All right. Getting back to what I'm trying to stick to what you just said. Okay, we're new people, and we built the capitals around the world, and it's gonna get to. It's nothing new under the sun. We've evolved, and it's no, a lot of people say, well, let's leave America, you know. We know the Europeans better than anybody. You can't leave kids with the matches and the gasoline. That's irresponsible as a people. You understand? And I think that and it's a strange thing that the European does not want to rid themselves of the black man. Only in rhetoric, never in deed. Only in talk. But it go back to what I'm trying to stick to that, but I can branch off on that right there. We definitely have got to identify ourselves as a new nation, you know, because Barack Obama had a great opportunity, and he dropped the ball, and because he wicked in his soul, he chose to be evil, because he got the knowledge. He could have, you know, came forward, you know, printing knowledge and led the way, because you see, the world was ready to follow a black man after. That's no doubt about it. And people say, well, he got a little white in him. Everybody on this planet. The people that call themselves Mexicans, people have been raped.
Hotep, you guys, that's the end of part 1. Make sure you come back for part 2. In the meantime, I want you guys to support The Real Bookworm, support The Chosen Few, support Matthew Daniels. I want you to go to Amazon.com, and I want you to order my 3 books. I have Big Game Hunting out. This is all fact, no fiction. Exposing corruption within the Tech City Police Department. You can read the synopsis on Amazon.com. I want you guys to go and order my novel Suicide Note, and I want you guys to also go and order my novel Thicker Than Water. All 3 of these can be found in paperback form or in ebook form. If you don't like paperback, you can get the ebook version. Come back for part 2 and go and order those novels. Hotel.